Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to English edition of the Talk Show Forum with Javed Khan Jadoon. Today we are going to discuss the US-China Economic and Security Review Commission's 2025 report to the US Congress. The USCC annual report in its chapter 2 about the May 7-10, 2025 India-Pakistan conflict details how Pakistan prevailed over India militarily. Some of the important talking points of the report, and then we will go to our guest, Major General Retired Raza Mahmud Khan, Defense and Security Affairs expert. But let me present a few lines from the report itself, and then we talk about it. The report says that China's role in the May 7-10, 2025 clash between Pakistan's and India's militaries drew global attention as Pakistan's military relied upon Chinese weaponry and reportedly leveraged Chinese intelligence, quote unquote. The second point says the Indian army claimed China helped Pakistan with live inputs on Indian military positions throughout the crisis. Another point says that China opportunistically leveraged the conflict to test and advertise the sophistication of its weapon systems, useful in the context of its ongoing border tensions with India and its expanding defense industry goals as well. Pakistan's military success over India in its 4-day clash showcased Chinese weapon systems, the report further says. The clash was the first time China's modern weapon systems, including HQ-9A defense system, PL-15 A-to-A missiles and J-10 fighter planes were used in active combat, serving as real-world field experiment. This is what the report says. China reportedly offered to sell 40 J-35 fifth-generation fighter jets, KJ-500 aircraft, and ballistic missiles defense systems to Pakistan in June 2025. In the weeks after the conflict, Chinese embassies hailed the success of its systems in the India-Pakistan clash, seeking to bolster weapons sales. And of course, very emphatically, the report says that Pakistan's use of Chinese weapons to down French Rafale fighter planes, and they were of course used by India, is a major success on part of the Pakistan's military and Pakistan's Air Force. Now, these are the points, but let us talk about between the lines. Pakistan, General Raza, basically Pakistan, whichever country uses whichever country's weapon systems, it is always the man behind the weapon. And Pakistan, of course, there are many other countries using Chinese weapons. So giving more and more credit to Chinese weapons would be a bit unjustified if we talk about the Pakistan's successes in the 4-day conflict, because Pakistan's brilliant, the doctrine, the warfare doctrine, and particularly as described, was the biggest air battle of the 21st century. So it was Pakistan's armed forces, more importantly, rather than the Chinese weapon systems. Would you agree with that?
Thank you so much, Jadoon sir, for taking me on your program, and I think you have concluded it very aptly already, that it is actually man behind the gun, or the people who use a system, whether it is military system, even in today's world, the technology, AI and all that. AI is accessible to everyone, ChatGPT and so on. But what makes the difference is how do you use it. Even ChatGPT, if you can give a good prompt, you'll get a better response.
Absolutely.
So coming back to Pakistan, India, and comparison of the equipment and the employment of those equipments during our standoff, during Marka-e-Haq and Bunyan and Marsus, India had best of the best equipment of whole the world.
Absolutely.
If you see it from the theoretical and technical point of view, perhaps Rafales were graded as better than the Chinese J-10C,
yes,
or JF-17 Thunder, which Pakistan has, or old F-16s, which Pakistan carries along in its inventory since past 40 years. Whereas India has the best of best equipment. So it is basically, I think I would agree with you, it is the usage, number two. Second thing is that Pakistan takes great care in training its people, and Pakistan takes great care in putting the things on ground and exercising and perfecting the drills and procedures to use these things. Pakistan's tri-services exercises, Pakistan's exercises with whole world in the naval domain, in air domain, with China, with other countries actually are aimed at that. And in last year, Pakistan had multiple exercises carried out with China in the field of counterterrorism, in the field of naval warfare, and so on. So on. So Pakistan, alhamdulillah, has perfected its systems, and interoperability or all the domains of the warfare are together. And you'll be astonished to know, I heard it from someone, that on that one day when India and Pakistan were at fight and Pakistan was responding, 96 times the connection was established between the air chief and army chief field marshal now. So it is basically the cohesion, it is basically the drills and procedures, it is basically the training
and interoperability of the weapon systems, yes.
all the weapon system and all the service. And now when we talk of the interoperability, it is not only the three services actually. It is the media, it is the intelligence, it is the cyber, it is the space, under the sea, under the ground, over the seas, over the ground, in the air. So it is all domains which were together.
When, probably it was May 30th or 31st, the Indian Chief of Defence Staff was in Singapore to attend the Shangri-La Security Dialogue.
Yeah.
There he was interviewed by more than 3 or 4 outlets, international outlets, including the Reuters News Agency and the Bloomberg. And in the very first interview with the Bloomberg, when he was asked that whether China provided any assistance to Pakistan in the conflict, he said satellite, particularly. The question was related to the satellite assistance. The CDS General Chauhan said that we don't have any information or intelligence available that China actively supported Pakistan. And second, he said that commercially available information is always there. They could have got it from China or any other source. Now, that was the very initial reaction on part of the top military commander in India. So even I would like to take this report with a pinch of salt as well, that giving so much of a credit to the Chinese weapon systems and not giving credit to the Pakistani armed forces professionalism would be a bit unjust. Right. Why I quoted General Anil Chauhan. Anil Chauhan never claimed that it was the Chinese assistance which made the difference between the two militaries, isn't it?
Okay, thank you. First of all, going back to the Anil Chauhan's utterances of the record, of the Shangri-La dialogue with the journalists. Yes, he admitted that we did lose the planes, and it is not important how many jets we lost
but
or
why we lost them.
Why did we lose.
Yes.
So this was first of all the admission. Now coming over to the assistance provided by the Chinese and too much of projection of Chinese equipment and maligning in a way China. In that report. Let's see what could have been the objectives of that report. Naturally, it is a congressional research service, which is official, quasi-government, but non-partisan. They sit in the Congress's library. They carry out research on various issues, and they were tasked to carry out research on this aspect also. Number one. So the purpose would have been to dig out all the things, and perhaps there is always something at the back of the mind of the US thinkers, and that is the Chinese rise and how to counter China and how to also demonize China. I think this is a very important thing to understand. Last point which I want to make is about the sharing of intelligence or availability of the information or availability of the satellites and all that. Simply comparing technology, we have spoken already. India had the help of the Five Eyes, and you understand what is Five Eyes. It is 5 countries, the best of the best intelligence, which is Western countries, New Zealand, Australia, UK, USA, Canada, and so on.
Australia.
Australia. And they were having all this information. They had best of the best equipment from 5 to 6 countries, top producer of the weapon systems in the world. So basically, giving too much of credit to only technology or demonizing China in this garb, I think this is not right.
And particularly when this the report submitted to the Congress is basically related to China Economic and Security Review Commission's report.
Yeah.
So the focus is China.
Yeah.
So Pakistan came up in the report because of the Chinese weapon systems and all that, whether China provided support to Pakistan or China didn't provide support. Let me quote another quote from the Deputy Army Chief of India, General Rahul Singh. It was most probably in June. He was briefing the media and he said that when the DGMO level talks were going on between Pakistan and India, the Pakistani DGMO told us that your certain vectors are primed, so please hold them back. He said that that proved that China was providing them the overarching support as far as the cyber warfare was concerned, or the satellite. But again, my point is when CDS, General Chauhan says no, there wasn't any active support. So there were a lot of contradiction in the Indian military statements. But my point is they admitted Pakistan's supremacy in the air, Pakistan's air superiority, and Pakistan's ISR capability, extremely well conducted by Pakistan. This is what is the important aspect of any warfare, isn't it? You yourself have been a soldier and military strategist.
First of all, Mr. General Neil Chauhan, I think he's a graceful person. One must give him appreciation and credit that he is truthful. You see, he admitted this fact. Although he must have had pressure from the government or from his own forces that he should not utter.
He had to face a lot of backlash afterwards.
That he should not utter such words that how many planes were downed or how many jets were downed by Pakistan. Number one, this. Number two, he also said the same as you have said, that provision of the information could be from anywhere. But at the same time, I think we should not be having any problem, or India should not be having any problem if they have 5 allies, Israelis sitting inside their country, and Israeli soldiers and Israeli technicians are there. They are helping them to fight a war, fly drones and kill Pakistanis or attack Pakistan. So why should they be just criticizing that we got some intelligence help from China? Even if we got it, there is nothing bad. The friends give you information, and giving information, whether commercial, you get the commercial, you buy the information commercially, or you get it from your friends, there is no issue at all. As far as the air superiority and supremacy is concerned, and information about the vectors, Pakistan also has ground intelligence, space intelligence, and so many other sources. So Pakistan gets the information about India, their movement. Recently they conducted...
there was excellent use of drones as well.
Yeah, they recently conducted exercises and all that. And even Pakistani pilots could have shot down more aircrafts, but it was decided at the
self-imposed restraint.
Yeah, at the level of the Chief of Army Staff and Chief of the Air Staff at that time, that we have to limit the escalation and limit our responses. ISR capability, you have very rightly said, Pakistan has ample kind of capability. It is aided by China. It gets information from and technology from all over the world, wherever we can get it from. You will be happy to know that it is not only the Chinese technology. Pakistan has technology from multiple countries of the world, and then its own young boys, girls, doctors, PhDs, soldiers, civilians, they sit together and actually combine everything to get best of the best results.
Another point I would like to highlight, and then we'll talk about it. This says that China opportunistically leveraged the conflict to test and advertise the sophistication of its weapons, useful in the context of its ongoing border tensions with India. The problem with this particular statement is these weapons were never tested before. How could China have known the real-time sophistication or the battlefield sophistication of the weapon system? One point. Secondly, China could have never known how Pakistan is going to handle these weapon systems. And thirdly, of course, it is the pilot sitting in the fighter plane is the most important factor, or rather the decisive factor in deciding which side is going to win the air battle. So, talking about China's opportunism is basically comes out of a bias against China. rather than talking about the ground situation, the reality of the 4-day conflict between India and Pakistan.
Wonderful.
So once again, highlighting China in a bad light, that it was an opportunistic China tried to capitalize on this opportunity. Rather than China never initiated the conflict. The conflict was initiated by India, and Pakistan had to respond to that.
Yeah, I think you've said it all already. For example, whenever you have some new weapon system, you carry out trials, right? And the best test is when these equipments are employed in the battle. And in this case, we have actually a great problem with the equipment. Problem is, even if we have money, we are not given any Western equipment. We cannot buy it. We are denied the equipment from anywhere in the world which has the Western technology, or at the back end, the original manufacturer is from West, whether it is United States, UK, Germany, or whichever country. There have been instances in our country when we wanted to buy a few helicopters or the submarines or any other equipment. Initially, the negotiations were very successful, but later on we were told that OEM has stopped us not to provide you this equipment or supply you this equipment. So coming back to the equipment and China and its projection and marketing and all that, I'll give you an example of Mr. Trump. Whenever Mr. Trump speaks about the military, he says we have best of the best military, and no military is that powerful in the world. And we have such technologies, such weaponaries that you cannot imagine it. And when they used these B-2 bombers, strategic bombers in Iran against Iranian nuclear facilities, Mr. Trump actually bragged a lot about it and kind of propagated that what kind of weaponry they have. And he said no country in the world has this technology, only the only United States has. Now, wherever he is going, for example, this present visit of the US by the Prince Mohammed bin Salman, what is basically there as point number one or agenda number one, that is the investment. And when you say 600 billion to 1,000 billion, that is a trillions investment. It can't be only in technology, economy, and buying the goods and services. Basically, they are the big ticket items, that is the aircraft, the guns, the missiles, the submarines, and so on and so forth, which are expensive things. So it is, I think, not at all bad, even if China did use these battle test trials of their equipment as achievement. It is very well.
Same is done by the other countries.
Anyone. If I was there, you were there. If I produce equipment, if I produce a weapon system and it is used well, I'll be very happy, I'll be very proud, and I will proudly claim it that, okay, we invented it.
Absolutely.
And it is doing so well. So
and even if Rafales had succeeded, the French would have been studying all the factors. And when we talk about the weapon systems, let us reverse the situation, take it back to India. India was using a 4.5 generation state-of-the-art Rafale fighter planes, considered even our Vice Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Operations, said that Rafales are a very good platform. Though, I mean, of course, as we talked about it, it is the pilot or the man manning the aircraft. They were using Rafales, they were using Su-30 Mk1, they were using MiG-29s, and they were using Mirages and so on and so forth. So they had a lot of variety in the fighter aircraft, and they utilized almost because over 120 fighter planes were in the air in that particular time period, and about 80 plus fighter planes were flying on part of India. Had it been the technology, had it been the versatility in technology, it would have gone the Indian way, not the Pakistan way. I mean, this is the counter argument as far as the report is concerned. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. But let's go back to your last question. It was about the air supremacy. Air supremacy, to achieve air supremacy in a particular sector is a very, very big thing. In case of Pakistan and India's war, Pakistan achieved air supremacy between the two countries, such a larger distance, right from west of Pakistan, east of Pakistan till south of India. Pakistan had air supremacy for 48 hours.
48 hours?
They had grounded
And
their
it was
aircrafts.
admitted by General Chauhan.
Yes. And what happened was, coming back to original thing, it is actually the people who are fighting the war. Why is it so?
Yes.
It is the courage, it is the training, it is the great. It is written in Quran, Mu'mineen have bought paradise in exchange for their lives from God. Number two, Muslims prefer shahadat over life when they are in war. So this is a very, very important element when our soldiers are there in the field, whether they are in the seas, under the seas or in the air, the soldiers or men or officers, there is no fear because they know if they pass away, it is not death, it is a transition to a new beautiful life. So this is what matters, and apart from the training, this courage is very, very important. Number two, air supremacy we have spoken already. What I wanted to add was, it is basically the re-establishment of the deterrence by Pakistan in the conventional domain only. We did not use the nuclear bogey at that time. Now, when you have re-established this deterrence, this re-establishment of deterrence was in such a manner that there was a paralysis created in the Indian system of decision making. In the loop of decision making, there was a paralysis caused, and that is why they grounded their aircraft. Well, now, have you ever heard that any Air Force grounding their top of the line aircrafts, you have named them all, for 48 hours, somewhere in the rear, and sitting ducks?
In fact, trying to protect them.
And sitting ducks.
Yes.
Actually, they should be thankful to Pakistan. It was
Not
not at all difficult for Pakistan to target them. Wherever these aircrafts are, Pakistan could have targeted these through aerial missiles because Pakistan has the missiles, standoff missiles of a great capability. So they should be thankful. They can do anything.
And
victory has many fathers.
And defeat is an orphan. Yes, of course. Not giving credit to GF-17 Thunder is a bit unjust and part of this particular report.
It is.
GF-17 Thunder Block 3C is a very capable fighter plane. Has been inducted in the Azerbaijani Air Force. And this latest report by the National Interest, which is an American think tank, says that now Azerbaijan has the kind of air superiority in the region, along with other countries including Pakistan, India, Israel, Saudi Arabia. I mean, look at the GF-17 Thunder's Block 3 capability, that it is being equated with some of the most advanced 4.5 generation or 5 generation fighter planes. And of course, it played an important role in taking out the S-400 air defense system, Indian air defense system as well. So focusing on just J-10Cs.
No. I agree with you. I agree with you. Because GF-17 Thunder is a very, very versatile, very, very capable and very good machine. And very good machine.
Yeah, please go on. Please go on.
And there are so many countries, I think, in the line now who want to buy GF-17 Thunder.
Okay.
And another thing which I want to talk to is the realization of the countries and all that. I think a newer order is evolving in various parts of the world. First of all, number one, the world is no more unilateral. It is now multilateral, number one. There are multiple powers emerging here and there, but primarily there are three great powers, right? Second thing is, there is a new order emerging in the region. When I say region, I mean the East, and when I say East, especially in the Middle East. You see, new things are happening. New alliances are being created. And there is a thought in the Middle Eastern states, especially the GCC countries, that they cannot outsource their security. That is why they are going into various other arrangements. And if you have seen it carefully, Alhamdulillah, Pakistan's Field Marshal, Asim Munir, the Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and President Trump, this is a troika which is emerging on discussing the regional arrangement when it comes to Middle East and South Asia.
Correct.
And a recent going of the Prince to USA, the strategic defense agreement between them,
Okay.
and strategic defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, it gives a newer message.
Absolutely.
There is a triangle of cooperation which has developed, and I think this troika is now going to work well for the peace in the Gulf region, and also
in South Asia and Middle East as well.
also in the and also in the South Asia, because it is going to have great impact on the South Asian equation as well.
True. Let's take a break, a very brief break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion on this particular subject.
Thank you.
Stay with us, listeners. Welcome back. I'm Javed Khan Jadoon, your host with English edition of the Talk Show Forum. And we are talking about the US-China Economic and Security Review Commission's 2025 report presented to the US Congress. And in this particular report, very, very long report, there's a chapter 2 which mentions Pakistan's military success against India in the May 2025 conflict, this limited military engagement, and how Pakistan effectively used China's weapon systems, and in particular J-10C fighter plane downing 7 Indian fighter planes, including 4 Rafales. This report gives more of a credit to Chinese weapon systems rather than to Pakistan Armed Forces professionalism, their capability, the pilots' top quality training and motivation and commitment to their profession as well. And furthermore, we are talking about how the region is evolving and how new dynamics are emerging, particularly after the May 2025 conflict between India and Pakistan. We are joined by Dr. Salma Malik, belongs to the DSS Department of Strategic Studies, Department of the Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. Dr. Salma, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Salma, very important report, and a report, of course, is mainly and primarily China-focused. It is the Security Review Commission's report focusing on US-China economic and security review. The report mainly talks about the Chinese weapon systems and how Pakistan effectively used these weapon systems. Of course, there's no denial that Chinese weapon systems turned out to be excellent weapons as far as their use was concerned in the conflict. But importantly, it was Pakistan's armed forces, Pakistan's Air Force, and Pakistan's pilots who made the real difference. You agree with that?
Absolutely, but we have to be cognizant of this fact that this report primarily deals with China. So obviously they would be looking at this particular episode from the Chinese angle. So in case the Pakistani military's role and the man mating with the machine notion has not been highlighted, that's not so intentional that they want to status down Pakistan's capability or achievement, but primarily because it's focused on China.
Correct.
So we have to take that lens when we are reading this report. However, time and again, this report also mentions that China, because Pakistan was using the Chinese crafts and various other things, China's capability was tested and was proven as a result of
Chinese weapon systems.
The weapon systems, as a result of the May 25 conflict, which speaks volume of the fact that these are not autonomous weapons, they are not operating on their own. This is the first time that they've been battle ready, but they have been used in a war scenario, and they proved their mental. And the mental could only be proved because there was a man in that machine.
My question,
behind that machine.
Had Rafales been at the disposal of Pakistan Air Force and J-10C at the disposal of the Indian Air Force, you believe outcome would have been different?
I believe the outcome would have been the same. Pakistan would have succeeded very well. But I'm pretty sure that India would not have had the J-10Cs or the JF-17s. Whatever equipment India would have had, the results would have been the same. Because, I mean, time and again, even the Pakistani Air Force was very valiant in saying it, that the machines that they were facing were no less, right? And they were facing a professional military as well. So Pakistan was extremely decent in saying whatever it had to say. It's India which keeps on trying, coming up with new notion after another. But the fact that Pakistan strategized, Pakistan used its machines to the optimum, we also saw to it. We were looking face on with the type of challenge the adversary was posing Pakistan, and the Air Force, the way it strategized was that we have to maximize enemy losses and minimize our loss while taking into account that this is a totally different ball game altogether. This warfare, if we even take out the statistics as to how many kills happened, if we look at the way this war started and the way this war terminated, we have actually entered a different chapter in the history of warfare now.
General Azab, there was a vlog by one of India's very eminent defense analysts, Praveen Sawhney. He mentioned in his particular vlog very interesting facts. We have already talked about them. He said that the difference was made by the rigorous training given to the Pakistani fighter planes. They went to China, they trained with the Chinese, and they tried to understand how to optimize these fighter planes. And he further said that, on the contrary, the Indian Air Force failed to update their fighter planes in accordance with the modern warfare requirements. And of course, he was giving credit to Pakistan's fighter pilots.
Yeah, I think he's very right. What matters is, as we have spoken already, Dr. Salma was also trying to say, it's not basically the equipment. Uh, India had best of the best equipment of the world at their disposal. Pakistan did not have the matching equipment at disposal. But when it came to the employment, yes, you are very right. It is the training. In Pakistan, there is a system of very, very rigorous training. For example, when we come to the Air Force, in Air Force, they do the categorization of the officer at a very early stage of their life. When they are somewhere, captains or squadron leaders, they go to combat schools. And when they go to the combat school, everyone doesn't go to the combat school. And those who go to the combat school, they go through a very, very rigorous training. And if they qualify, then they go forward, whether it is their promotion, their training, and so on. When it comes to China or any equipment, it is a set procedure, not only for Pakistan, but every country. Whenever they acquire a new equipment, their people go, they sit there, they stay there actually, they understand the equipment, train with them, and then only they fly back with new equipment themselves. So, and then Pakistan has been carrying out multiple exercises within the country and with other countries and with China also. Pakistan has been carrying exercises, visible, invisible, cooperation, coordination was there. So I think he is very right. But another thing which we can add to the equipment and training is basically the motivation and grace.
Yes, absolutely.
How brave the people are, how motivated they are, and are they fearless or do they fear their life? As we spoke earlier, in case of Muslims, when we are in war, so in war, it's not that we are fighting for saving our life. We are fighting for the country, and our life doesn't matter. If you go down fighting for the country, I think it's a great success. You transit into a newer grand world as a shaheed.
Absolutely. Dr. Sarma, when we talk about this particular limited military engagement, almost every important military think tank in the world pointed out that Pakistan used multi-domain warfare capabilities like no other country in the world. And on many occasions, it was said that Pakistan's tactics would be studied in the defense colleges and the military institutions as well.
Absolutely.
And thirdly, it was said that Pakistan very effectively used and how it used the multi-domain warfare, the drones and the cyber warfare, and how Pakistan disabled one of the most sophisticated fighter planes known as Rafales. So in this particular instance, what I'm trying to highlight is that they recognize and acknowledge Pakistan's multi-domain warfare capability rather than the weapon systems, isn't it?
You see, I mean, the fact
of course,
that
the weapon systems are important.
Absolutely.
But without a doctrine and a multi-domain warfare tactics.
Absolutely. You see, war is now actually getting multi-domain in its entirety. And this
But
war
it has
which is
been
imposed,
acknowledged only after the May 4 conflict. Please
Absolutely.
remember that.
Absolutely. The fact that India had this feeling that Pakistan is not prepared. Pakistan does not have the type of infrastructure to support a multi-domain warfare, and we can impose anything on that. And they initiated. And what really took them by surprise was that Pakistan was not only ready, Pakistan was absolutely spot on and far superior in its strategy. Strategy can never be based alone on equipment. It has to be the mind. It has to be the training. The point the General Sahab just pointed out, the type of ability that you inculcate in every soldier, every fighter, the superior training, the superior leadership, the teamwork, everything was in sync. It was as if you were just waiting for the cue, and everything became operational. For any type of provocation, Pakistan had an equal, reciprocal, and more overwhelming response, yet we remain very restrained. And you also have to keep one thing in mind, that remaining restrained in a war where you have an edge, where you also have this knowledge that you can do it, you can go for an overkill and get away with it, is actually a very, very strong strategy. Because you don't want to become a person, you don't want to become the type of aggressor that your adversary has become or wants you to become.
Okay.
You don't want to get into the type of
Absolutely.
warfare that they're trying to draw you into.
A few minutes left. Let me
Yes.
take the same question to General Raza. General Raza, before you answer, let me quote what the British news agency writer said. The agency said that the Pakistan's air chief was on the mattress for several days waiting for the Indians to make a move. The moment he was informed that Indian fighter planes have taken off, he told his fighter planes, go for the best they have, Rafales. Remember that. This makes the difference. You talked about it in length, that the commitment, the professionalism, and the commitment to do the best was there.
Thank you so much. When it comes to the Air Chief of Pakistan, I think we must give him credit for his own operational preparedness, or preparing his forces or his Air Force for the operation, and his personal involvement, as you said earlier. And there is another expression which is used by the German military. It is called Auftrag tactic.
Okay.
Auftrag tactic is that you give orders to a person and tell him, okay, don't look back. Take a decision yourself. I want you to, for example, I want you to down 5 planes, right? Then you don't have to ask me every time, one is done now, should I go to the 3rd one or 4th one or 5th one? So I think this kind of message had been given by the Chief of Air Staff to his people and pilots in the field, and he was himself on the screen in the
Control room.
in communication. Now, about the multi-domain, I think Dr. Salma has said it also, and I would like to kind of repeat or reiterate. When we talk of the multi-domain, it is not only the forces now. It is the 3 forces,
Yes.
plus the paramilitary forces now, plus people, plus media, plus social media, space, on the ground, in the air, in the space, under the ground, seas, and under the water. So it is a great now spiral which has to be, this whole loop has to complete and be in sync with each other, and that is how they can fight well. And Alhamdulillah, Pakistan fought very, very well. And number 2 thing which Dr. Salma also highlighted, domination of ladder of escalation. Domination of ladder of escalation means that you keep the escalation in the same
In your control.
rung
In your
and
control.
in your control, and decide whether you want to escalate it further or no. From that point of view, Alhamdulillah, people of Pakistan have done very, very well, and we must appreciate. I was hearing President Trump. He was using very, very good words for Pakistan. The Prime Minister, the Chief of Defense Services now, Chief of Defense Staff now, Field Marshal Asim Munir, and other chiefs of these services. I think they deserve a lot of credit for fighting it very brilliantly, courageously, and personal involvement. As I said earlier, I heard that Chief of Air Staff and Chief of Army Chief, the Field Marshal now, they spoke to each other about 96 times in one day.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Salma, now in the wake or aftermath of this limited military engagement between India and Pakistan, new dynamics have emerged. Now it is being seen that the Air Force plays the most important role now, because the armies are not going to be marching into each other's countries. Air defenses have taken the most important stage, and of course the drones in the cyberspace warfare as well. So this is what is called the multi-domain warfare. How Pakistan has catapulted the geostrategic paradigm in this region, and of course we have been talking, and we can continue to talk for another several hours, how Pakistan outperformed one of the biggest military power in this region, and of course in the world, with $96 billion military defense budget, as compared to Pakistan's $9 billion.
Yes. I think that's like 10 times bigger than what we have. Interestingly, for the longest time, what we have heard is that Pakistan has a very, what one can say, modest defense budget, and we have to maintain not only our defense, our offensive operations and our offensive strike in that given scenario. The fact that we went for the nuclear option was also to provide us with that type of back support and deterrence that is needed in this regard. Pakistan did not use its nuclear deterrence capability.
Yes.
We never said the N-word, and that speaks a lot of volumes about what we have done. We were very confident about our conventional might, and we went for that. We prepared well. We studied the enemy very well. We saw what the enemy was doing, how they were, and of course we also have to keep one thing in mind, that it was not only India preparing for itself. India had a lot of support from the US as part of its strategic partnership when it came to intelligence, when it came to satellites, cyber warfare. A lot of, if you're talking about multi-domain operations or capability, India had multi-domain cooperation from the US in this regard. And here was Pakistan standing alone, doing what it had to do. And most of its equipment, especially the Air Force infrastructure, was a joint venture operation, the JF-17s, J-10Cs, etc. What we did was that we studied the adversary very well. We studied how the adversary was operating, what all it had to do. After Pahalgam, Pakistan was on battle ready. We were looking at all type of provocations coming from the enemy, and we were preparing well. Again, the best strategy, I think, no one can talk about it better than General Raza, where you minimize your losses and maximize the enemy losses, and you maximize your gains. That was Pakistan's strategy. Swift, clean operation. Go for the kill, make your mark, don't go for overkill, but make it show that the damage that we exercise or inflict on the enemy is lasting damage.
Yes.
It is damage that really hurts.
Last question. India always believed that Pakistan's military doctrine works under the nuclear overhang, and Pakistan doesn't have the capability in the conventional realm. So Pakistan shattered almost every myth which India had been projecting, the Cold Star doctrine and the net security provider. But most importantly, I would like you to answer that Pakistan literally demonstrated that it doesn't need nuclear overhang. Pakistan can perform, did perform, and will perform in the conventional field as well.
Thank you so much. I think it is a very important question, and time is less. I'll try to answer as short as possible. First of all, we have an example of the Cold War. During Cold War, there was a time when the escalation was taking place between both the blocs, NATO and Warsaw Pact countries, and Cuban Missile Crisis, if you remember, was there. That Russia stationed its missiles, nuclear missiles in Cuba, and that later on they de-escalated. But then our understanding was developed in the whole world that two nuclear states cannot go to war directly with each other. They have been fighting the proxy wars. Now coming over to Pakistan, it is India which is trying to propagate that we can fight a limited war under the nuclear overhang, that we will not escalate the war to the level where nukes are used. I think it takes, as they say, two to tango. So one starts a war and many end the war. So it is not going to be the escalation control in their hand. Ultimately, they should not risk it. They should not adventure.
I'm so sorry we have come to the end of the show.
Thank you so much.
We will continue. And maybe in another show, we will continue this part of the discussion. General Retired Raza Muhammad, thank you so much. Dr. Salma, of course, thank you so much as always. Listeners, we come to the end of the show. I'm Javed Khan Jadoon saying Allah Hafiz.